So to recap what happened, first of all, a premium rate was put on corn. So corn prices were being subsidized by the government. So corn prices increased, the selling price, and that made farmers want to switch to corn, started growing more corn. It was more profitable. Another thing that happened was that more corn was diverted to fuel rather than food. And because of this, eventually all food prices started to increase. It caused a chain reaction. Well, corn is more expensive to buy to feed our cattle, so meat prices increase. And this part wasn't discussed in the podcast, but we also saw conversion of marginal land. This is land that is not super great for agriculture, so farmers keep it fallow or unused. They may get tax credits for having it in conservation status. This land might not be great for growing crops, but it is great for habitat, as we know. So what was happening is farmers were converting this marginal land to cropland. And so as corn and other food prices increased, we saw more conversion of land from conservation status to producing crops. So was this sustainability goal really sustainable? Can we continue to increase our corn ethanol production? Well, thinking back to our pillars of sustainability, what were the impacts of corn ethanol production on the economy, on humans, on the social side, and on the environment? First of all, the economy. There were heavy government subsidies for corn, so this is not something that's likely to continue indefinitely. It was artificial inflation of corn prices, not something that can be sustained forever. On humans, the cost of living went up. So there was an increase in the cost of food, produce, and meat. So that means a cost of living increase. And in some cases, this could increase hunger. For the environment, we saw a loss of habitat for conversion to ag land. Remember, this was the marginal land. A sustainability analysis beforehand would have shown the impacts on human well-being, the economy, and the environment that occurred from our rapid corn ethanol expansion. So we see that quantifying sustainability ahead of time in our planning especially is important. Our plan as the policy, the 2007 policy, it might sound sustainable, but we need to be able to measure and think ahead to really know if it will be. How sustainable our efforts are, or how sustainable our efforts will be. Well, we need to make an assessment, and for that we need a tool. To measure sustainability, our tool needs to be comprehensive, meaning that we take into account the social, economic, and environmental aspects. What this means is that we'll likely use more than one tool. Our tool needs to analyze alternatives. We need to be able to compare scenarios. Our tool should consider the time frame, future and current, and possibly past as well. Our tool should give us quantitative results. We need some numbers, something that we can work with. And our tool should be transparent. We need to be able to explain what we are doing to stakeholders. Your reading, Sustainability in the US EPA, presents a number of tools that can be used to measure sustainability. So, life cycle assessment, we call this LCA. We'll spend about 6 weeks discussing, and we'll go into quite good depth on what life cycle assessment is. Risk assessment is another tool. This is also something that we will discuss in detail in class. Will take about 4 weeks. Benefit cost analysis, we'll look at it as part of risk assessment. We'll cover it briefly, but you should probably get this in more depth in other probably economic classes. Ecosystem services evaluation, we'll briefly touch on it in our LCA discussion, especially when we talk about eco-LCA. We'll also touch on it in risk assessment, but you should have this in other classes. SIA, Sustainability Impact Assessment. We'll talk about assessment in general as it pertains to LCA, but if you want to get more in depth in sustainability impact assessment, there's a course at OSU, ENR 5210. The entire class is devoted to sustainability impact assessment. So we will not talk about it in this class much.